Deep, deep beneath the earth, there's a place where darkness stretches into realms yet undiscovered. Reality shifts and its edges blur, creating new spaces and realms. One of these realms is known as the Below, the Night World, or simply the Underdark, for the sun never reaches this pitch-black place. Beneath the sky, which consists of a rocky ceiling that puts even the biggest caves to shame, there are waves of viscous, dark water lapping at the shore of few and small islands. These islands are the only dots of inhabitable land within the large ocean, the Black Sea. The biggest one of these islands might have been earth and rock once, but now it consists of metal and concrete, a city bigger than even the great capitals of the lands above. Illuminated only by the white, harsh light of magical lamps, the City of Shadows is home to many folk. Our three protagonists should be wary though, as a single false step in the City of Shadows can plunge you into the dark forever, just as well as one right move can rise you above the rest. A delicate net of intrigue, desire and death weaves all across the city, connecting criminals, civilians and nobles alike. Everyone has to find their place in it. Everyone needs to learn to navigate this treacherous maze. Can you do it? Or will we die alone and forgotten?
Evening, little dove. The name's Sahir Marlowe, and I'll be ferrying your ass and all your shit across the Black Sea this evening. Mind your fingers and toes, keep 'em in the boat, and for Raptha's sake, don't go leaning over the water. See, the waves hide terrible secrets from those that travel the surface, not much unlike Sahani, the City of Shadows, yeah? You see, little dove, there's all sorts of things to discover in the city, if you know where and how to find them. Me? I'm just a gondolier, nothing special. Yeah, that's what I tell everyone, even if they don't believe me. See, I specialize in being ordinary. Been that way for a long time. I grew up in a group home, the old Soft Touch orphanage in the Silk Scarf district. Growing up was tough, yeah. Working in the textile mills, avoiding the gang wars in the streets, hard lessons from the instructors in the home. There wasn't any time to lament our situation, though. Well, not for most of the kids. I might have been upset, but I earned my way out. See, some wealthy madam stopped by the house one afternoon, claiming to be related to me or something. I eyed her suspiciously, went along with it, though. If it meant getting out of the home, I was game. I followed her around for a few days, and one evening, while she was sleeping, I took off with whatever valuables I could carry in my pockets and snuck off. These days, I don't really take valuables off folks, but information. Speaking of which, what's in the cargo, eh? Don't look so worried. I'm harmless. No secret ever passes these lips. Unless the price is right.
I've seen you before, I think, lingering on your way past the shop. I'm glad you've come in. The arrangements out front are pale shades of what you find in here. And nothing beats one of our custom creations. A bouquet of my own. You flatter me, but I'll not turn it down. There's a language in flowers, you know. I've made enough lovers' tokens and funeral wreaths to tell you that even without knowing why, people quite often like to tell a story with their choices. A daisy here for innocence, a sprig of gladiolus there for remembrance. It won't be one of those ostentatious ones you see delivered up to the parties and cafes in Cleargarden. So, let's say a bit of hollyhock and lavender for height, some sweet peas, and perhaps some butterfly weed near the hands. There's color, but you wouldn't think it much to look at, no? But see here, wrapped in the ribbon, a message for those skilled enough to read it. Yes, metaphorically and literally, for you see that is where you'll find a note for your master. I know who you serve, and have been expecting you for some time. Here, have a bit of forget-me-not before you go. A bright spot of blue against the dark of the city, to keep you on your way.
Hush, little one, for you are safe here in my garden. Who are you, you must be wondering? Well, I am Bronard Denul of the great house Sif, but please do call me Broden. To answer the unasked question, no, I cannot see you. Not directly. However, that is because the natural magics of the world are still at work within me. I've always possessed a certain amount of magic, as demonstrated by the dragon mark of healing that wraps around my horns. A mighty gift bestowed to the members of my house, a gift I was nearly denied when my father was executed for planned crimes against the Night Queen. After that event, I withdrew from the affairs of the house, and dedicated myself to this garden. I chose a life of isolation, only leaving to acquire new plants to grow here. But I did not remain isolated. One day I was approached while placing an order for a new flower bush, a group interested in the potential use of gardening to reshape the City of Shadow so that no one would ever go hungry again. I was fooled for a time until my now friend Sahir stopped me and showed me what their true ambition was. I abandoned that group, but they had planted the seeds of an idea. Perhaps I can reshape the City of Shadow through my gardens after all.
Hello everybody, and welcome to City of Shadows Session 11, Aspiration. I am Swapper, I will be your GM today, and with me I have, first of all, the owner of this channel.
Hi, it's me, Eva. I'll be playing Mercy today. Sorcerer.
Hi, I'm Raven. I am playing Broden, the Druid.
Druid, you say? Hi, I'm Wren, and I am playing Sahir Marlowe, a fancy gondolier, something or other. I don't know. They're okay.
Sounds about right. So, who wants to do the recap? Or rather, Raven, if you would please. So no,
Yes.
Just as an alibi, I'm asking, just pretending that we don't all know that.
Yes. Last week, we performed a ritual to help cleanse the city of the undead. Unfortunately, the spell also included the royal palace in its radius on another island. So it did not get completely overrun and wiped out by the undead. As far as we know. There were some weird things that popped out of the ritual, like a skeleton hyena horse thing. After that was dealt with, there were these little like plant-like worms that burst out of the seed and onto the ground and then started attacking us. After that, there was like a blast of radiant energy that like cleansed the entire city. As things that the characters would know, Lady Orleana Morbe said after the ritual was done, peaced out and said, "Y'all owe me a favor." We then proceeded to, Sahir and I proceeded to then say, "Hey, you should go check out your family." Which Mercy absolutely adored us for. I believe. As far as things that characters which we are playing would know, Sahir would know that they managed to get trapped for 24 hours in a mirror because they didn't fully understand their abilities and had a creepy conversation with someone. Meanwhile, M was getting kidnapped by this person called Kale, who it turned out to be Kale Celine of the royal family of Sahani, who then took her to meet some very dangerous people along with her brother. Sibling, sorry. The last thing I have in my notes was I thought Hero was an anarchist / wanted to eliminate the royal family completely.
Well, the situation seems to have evolved. Thank you for the recap. Take your d6, and we will begin. Now, the conversation, for most of the characters at least, remains somewhat of a secret, as it has been off-screen. It was quite a long one. Quite a few things were revealed. Quite a few new stakes were anticipated, probably. But we see M walking through the streets of Sahani. What are your feelings after this meeting? What are your thoughts?
Gosh. M probably mostly feels the wheels are turning for the first time in a while. But I wouldn't say she's hopeful. More calculating. And it's not going to be until later when she's laying in bed that there's going to be a heavy pit in her stomach at the scope of things, I think.
So rather weary.
Yeah.
Can't fault you. Not exactly. For once, sleep comes. No dreams, as always. But the city lies still. Treacherously so, and some things are happening, but none that are important enough to mention them here. Sahir, you are still trapped in your labyrinth of mirrors, and Broden, not trapped per se, but perhaps lost in their own thoughts, and we can see the gears turning as situation after situation unfolds in their head. Walk us through that, Broden. What's going to be your next few ideas?
So, the first thing is probably going to be to have a long, unfortunately drawn out conversation with their mother about the affairs of the house and potential strategies for the future.
Interesting. Now, you did mention that you were off to work while the others were either playing with their abilities or going to sleep. Is that conversation the first thing you're going to have? Or will you delay? For what reason?
I think they would. I think Broden would delay just long enough to like go forth and plant their new batch of seeds, as well as
Of course.
speak with the sparrows about the recruitment, as I mentioned last week. But then, yeah,
Yes.
that's action item number 3 is going to be that conversation, which has been inevitable.
Indeed. But for now, you plant your seeds, you imprint upon them the effects which we specified last session, the absorption of magic into your person, if I understood correctly. as
Yeah.
well as granting whatever recruits you might bring them magical abilities similar to your own. And after kind of surveying the greenhouse for a bit, Pavu standing mostly silently in the background, you check that nothing's wrong, no sudden zombies are going to burst out of the earth. Nothing like that. We then see you travel through the city towards the Sparrow's headquarters, a rather unassuming little bar. And as you open it, that is basically where we will leave off as you initiate conversation with several members, some of which are interested, some of which scoff at you, some of which are suspicious. And basically, as the camera glides up, we can see on a balcony above the main interior of the bar, we can see a single dragonborn leaning, hands, fingers steepled, as they survey the scene. We can see their golden eyes lie upon you as a slight smirk plays around their lips. Or rather, lack of lips, I should say. It's more of a teethy grin. But that is how your day concludes. A lot of talking. I assume a fair bit of drinking. No?
I wouldn't say that Broden drinks anything but water or tea.
Oh, fair enough. Then you actually do have to decline quite a few offers of beverages as they are thrust into your hand, as the bar is quite lively after people surviving a zombie apocalypse and the danger is now gone. And we shall not forget the Sparrows have indeed acquired a new district, Fisher's Bay. So they are quite jolly. Which probably helps you, in all honesty. The spirit is there for new beginnings, and you do manage to gather a handful, not many, but a handful of recruits for your Druid Circle. What is the name of it? Do you have one?
There we go. I believe I do.
All right.
It's somewhere in my notes here.
It's quite a thought process, you must understand.
Yes. There is a name. I can't find it quickly.
Well, then let's leave off there, and you will reveal the name once we come to talk about this again. So, the next morning, we will return to somebody else, Sahir, that is, especially, as you manage to wrench yourself out of the mirror, finally. It is... I would say it's like leaving behind your own body, but, well, you've been there and done that, so... It is cold. The passage from the world of mirrors into the real world, I suppose. What do you look like, and what are your thoughts once you finally manage to escape the weird realm where thoughts are difficult to manage and direction is a joke?
I'm going to take some narrative liberties here.
How dare you?
How dare I? I'm going to say that upon emerging from the mirror, essentially all the color that had been on my person, whether that be, clothing or trinkets or baubles or anything, is basically drained from me,
Yes.
leaving me almost like a chromatoscale version of myself as I slip out of that strange realm. And feeling my feet hit the floor again, I turn back to the bed where there I am. It's me in all of my flesh and blood glory, laying in such quiet, gentle repose. And I'll frown, looking at myself, because, well, I'm not me, but I am me, and that's still very disconcerting. So I just kind of look down to myself, notice that now, not only am I not myself, I'm also apparently devoid of the same vibrancy that I once possessed.
Because you're visually distinct now.
Mm-hmm. And I will go about immediately drawing the curtains closed in the room and covering myself in a sheet. And I know I've been out of the physical realm for some time. I don't really know exactly how long, so I'm going to stow myself under my bed.
Just roll yourself under the bed, yeah.
Wrapped up in a sheet, put myself under the bed. And I really need to talk to someone about finding a way to stow myself someplace a little less conspicuous.
This might come as a surprise to you, but should somebody truly search your room, under the bed is probably not the best hiding place. It might be discovered by maybe a 6-year-old. 5 if you're unlucky.
Well, most people don't know my bedroom exists, so there's only 2 people I really have to worry about.
True. And, well, I was about to say something very mean, but no. What are the first safety measures you take after hiding your body? Well, if you take any, I mean, if you just want to leave your room like that, that's perfectly fine.
Locking the windows from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Locking the door.
Yep. From the inside?
I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to close it on the way out. I've already installed a padlock from when I was having my troubles previously, but I feel like I'm probably going to go about finding enough padlocks to do double lock on the door and locks on each window. And I'll probably spend time doing that. And if anyone asks, I'm going to deflect. Not even answer, just deflect.
So we just see Sahir running through the mansion with like a dozen padlocks in their hands. It's always very, very inconspicuous when people do that. Are you up? Are you mulling about while Sahir takes care of their padlocks, or what's the deal?
Now that they're alive, whatever they do in their room is their business. Well, as far as I'm concerned.
You say alive.
Probably would note that there is, noise upstairs, someone else in the house. Otherwise, I'll let them be. Okay. If they wanted company, they would not be banging around in their room. So, I think I will take the morning for myself.
Fair enough. You have a lot to think over, and to be quite honest, you deserve a break.
I really do.
What's that break look like? What do you do for pleasure?
I've had a week to think about this. Sort of 2 weeks. But in all that time, I sort of forgot. I would like to pull out my book, and I would like to. I think I'd already like started to make notes on the how to create a pearl of power, but I would like to kind of create like a shopping list of things that I would need.
All right. Interesting.
You thought I forgot, 'cause I did.
Sure. Let's put it that way. Interesting thing to do for fun. Very interesting indeed. Well, let's then stay with Mercy a bit. You go shopping, you acquire the necessary ingredients. What else do you do? Do you talk to somebody? Do you visit your family, as was suggested by your party members? Even sarcastic as was.
No, because they explicitly suggested it. So I would find a messenger or something. I would find someone to like send a message for me. Very busy looking after Hero. This sounds like I'm in trouble and that's a cry for help, but it's not. I'm actually helping them. Hope all is well. And I assume you know where to find me because you always do, but whatever. It's fine. Love to Joy. And my littlest brother, whose name I absolutely know. At least I didn't forget he existed. I was prepared for that.
So you send your family a note after the zombie apocalypse, riding off into possible, quite probable death.
I'll come visit after.
They get a note. No, I'm not judging. I'm judging a little bit. But that's fine.
Amorous. Loved Amorous.
Is there a PS? Still alive, obviously. Or just... Is that your goodbye letter?
I mean, who knows what happens between when I send the letter and when they read it. Maybe I'm not still alive.
I know.
I don't want to give them, like, false hope.
Fair enough. You send off the letter with one of the many, many urchins of the city, who are have taken to doing this kind of job for a bit of coin.
I picture it's very much like a Christmas Carol where I just, like, fling open the shutters and point at a likely urchin. You there, child!
Yes!
How would you like an apple and some coin?
I'll take the coin.
Oh, picky are we? Okay.
Fuck your apples. I needed a doctor.
Would you like a rock candy? Because that seems... It's fine. I'm 80,
give me
apparently.
The money.
I will give them
No,
money.
it's very much an interestingly professional affair, as this happens almost daily to the urchins of the city. And while they have had some other occupations during those past few nights, mostly surviving zombie apocalypses and killing night guards, children are flexible, they're durable, and they have returned to business as usual, scrounging coin wherever they can get it. And currently, they can get it from you. So, they run off with your letter, which you presume will probably arrive.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The urchins are surprisingly reliable when few things in this city actually are. The other thing being, of course, the gondoliers of Leonid. Speaking of, Sahir, have you continued your job in the morning, or do you just... What do you do?
I probably run a job or two and see if anything gets me close to my good buddy. Oh, gosh, why am I forgetting his name, Wilson?
Umar?
Umar. I wanted to say Abner, and I was like, that's not right.
Abner's a good name, though. Abner's somebody who lives in Chapel. Anyway,
So probably, yeah, run a couple jobs to get closer to the neighborhood where Uma is, and then maybe stop by and see if they're still around after all that nonsense.
Can you please give me a D100 plus 10 to determine if Umar did indeed survive the zombie apocalypse? Because
Award.
as somebody who has been warned, yes, but also somebody whose occupation involves the dead.
So how's a 13 look?
Not very well, unfortunately. You find out that Umar is no more. Or rather, you assume so after finding no trace of where they would usually be. And after but a few hours of searching around, you conclude that this is the most likely possibility.
Their shop, is it closed up, locked? What's
They
the deal?
didn't have a shop. They had a tiny, I say tiny, they had a small shack.
Yeah, the shop.
Fair enough. So the shop is too grand a word. But no, the shop is still open. It shows signs of destruction, especially the cellar where some of the corpses were. Not looking good. Not good at all.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Did Uma have any spare coffins laying around?
They
Boxes?
have quite a few coffins.
Oh, good.
Mostly, or all of them are lead-lined, however, if that is a problem.
Is it?
It depends on if you want to carry it out or not.
You said most of them, so there's got to be some that aren't.
There would be, yes. The wooden ones, which are used for cremation when the body is not suitable for open display anymore. Those are quite flimsy. But still enough to hold a body. They just wouldn't, for example, withstand the pressure of the ocean while sinking down.
It's a good thing I'm not planning on sinking anything into the bottom of the ocean. So...
I see one of the people in this party who are not doing that.
Yeah, I'll take one of the non-lead-lined ones. I'll just grab it and drag it out to the gondola.
Yeah, there's like a small, what's it called? Like a small wagon to transport them, but it's still quite heavy, and your gondola, for a moment, you fear it actually will just sink down, but it manages to catch itself. It's just lying quite deep, deeper than you would normally like it to be, but it's not like you haven't transported dead bodies in coffins before, so there's quite some space left. You can do this, possibly. So, are you taking the coffin back home?
I am. As I kind of settle it in, I look back at the shack, and I'll just think to myself, "Oh my buddy, if I ever see you again, I owe you for this." And I'll just push off and head back towards the home district with this inconspicuous body basket.
It is inconspicuous. You'd be surprised how many of those you find currently on the streets.
Oh, I could have just taken one of those.
Well, most of them are already occupied and watched for.
Well,
most of them.
Watched over?
Behind
okay.
you, the small wooden sign just swings in the wind as you drive away. I assume you put your body in the coffin once you're back?
I'm going to... Yeah, basically the idea is I'm going to go back home. I'm going to find a spot somewhere in the private back garden or on the estate, and I'm gonna mark out a place where I'm just gonna bury myself.
All right. Can you please give me a strength check as you park your gondola in the vicinity of the mansion and then realize, right, how am I going to do this? That is, if you want to try to drag the coffin, which is possible, especially with your new physique.
My new physique, not with a strength check. It's not that great. I have a 13.
Fair enough. It would be athletics, I suppose.
Athletics. That would be a 13.
Ah, my god, that is so much better. It's an arduous process, but it is, in the end, a successful process. You imagine you'd be sweating quite a lot by now if you were, alive. But it comes in handy being dead. You look fresh. Still a bit colourless, but the coffin lies where it is supposed to. And you have picked out a good spot between 2 or 3 of the gnarly, I don't want to say wilted, but definitely not good-looking trees in the back garden, where it is less likely that somebody's going to watch. And also, it is probably very likely that there might also be a few graves there once you dig deep enough. But that's just the look of the place.
Are there... Silly question. I have 2 questions first.
Yes.
Are there any healthy trees that I could bury myself under?
Well, no.
Oh, no.
Sahani doesn't have a son, and any tree that is not cared for in the way that Broden cares for their plants, it won't necessarily die having adopted to this, but it will not look good.
Okay.
These trees are survivors, while Broden's trees are...
Thrivers?
Well, I was going to say spoiled. But sure, they've been thriving under being given the proper care. Also magic, just a lot of magic. I'm being weird again.
Second question I have. I'm sorry, Swapper.
Yeah.
Second question I have is M going, well, maybe not specifically for you, but is M going to hear or look at this nonsense while I'm dragging a coffin onto the estate? Probably fairly noisily, like honestly, just like...
Oh, yes.
In my mind's eye, I'm picturing, like, M sitting in, like, the sitting room or whatever with, like, her book and her notes and, like, their ingredients or whatever. And then through the window, just Sahir, like, dragging and, like, all this ruckus. And everyone, like, just look up and just kind of, nah.
It gets even better as Sahir. You can either lob your body out of the window or drag it through the mansion, where you will definitely go past M.
I'm now imagining first it's like you see Sahir cross the window, like sneaking by, looking in the garden, and then coming back a couple minutes later, dragging the coffin loudly, inch by inch, putting it in the spot, walking back, coming back with shovels and like picks and stuff, and then walking back, and then you hear me come through the front door, and I just kind of step through the foyer and look into the sitting room where apparently M is. Oh,
And all you can hear is M say without looking up, "It's foyer."
good morning to you too. Enjoying a nice read?
I am. It's been a couple days since I could just sit and relax. Seems like a strong word, but sit and read. And I'm kind of enjoying it, actually. Good morning. How are you?
Great. Great. Just keep busy. You know,
You're great.
Yeah, I'm great.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's good. It didn't sound like you, but it's also been a weird couple of days, so fair enough.
Yeah, tell me about it. Did you talk to your family?
I sent them a letter. I think that sort of gets the point across without me having to trek all the way up there.
Yeah, that's your style. Informal. Got it.
All the way back. Yeah.
Impersonal. Yeah. Yeah, so I just want to say, if you see or hear anything weird going on right now, just I'm doing some gardening, and it's nothing to worry about. I got some tools. I got a planter box that I brought out back, and you know, just don't ask any questions.
Okay. I feel like this raises more questions than it answers for sure. But
Don't ask any questions.
I would also normally ask for deception check, but honestly, I'm not even giving you that privilege.
I'm no. This is as awkward as it's supposed to sound.
Will you be in for lunch?
You know, I have the distinct feeling I won't be hungry.
Okay. Have fun, I guess. I might go out. I don't know. Do you want me to let you know if I do? If you need anything? I can just stick my head out the back. Do a bit of a shout.
No, just you're good. You're good. You don't need to I don't need to know.
Okay. Well, I just figured if you were busy gardening and there was something you needed, I could get it for you while I was out, but
Oh no, I've got everything I need.
okay.
Great talk.
Yeah.
So and
See
like
you
clap my
this
hands
evening.
together. I'll talk to you later, and just like swaying my hands back and forth, awkwardly back up and head towards my room.
I'm just gonna look around the now empty hall and sitting room. That was weird. I kind of wish we had a pet or something that I could comment to about how weird that was.
You hear the unlocking of several padlocks.
That was terrifying because in my mind I was like, oh right, Chap. And then you mentioned the padlocks and I was like, oh god, Chap's large enough to unlock padlocks. Oh god.
They cannot keep me here!
I take it back. I take it back.
I shall be the master of my own destiny.
At that point, she's just gonna slip her feet out of her shoes or whatever. I feel like this place is still fairly run down, so she's definitely wearing shoes in the house. And she's just
Nobody's bothered to fix it up, so yes.
she's just going to curl up sideways in the chair and continue reading until she goes out.
It's a very comfortable chair. Sometimes when you reach for your reading material, however, there's another book in your hand, which, honestly, while ominous, does get it quite annoying at some point.
Are you implying the chair is handing me new reading material?
No, I'm implying that your cursed book is
that
to be read again.
Yes, that's fair.
You know, your arcane focus.
That's fair. I feel like it wouldn't really ever be that far from me anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I would
Huh?
always be keeping an eye out for other books by her, by the way, just as a side note.
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, I'm good.
So here, you bury yourself, I assume. Out of interest, how deep? Is it shallow? Is it deep?
At least 6 feet.
Ooh,
Digging takes a long time.
It does. It does. But in the end, you manage to. I was going to say lower the coffin, but it's more like an undignified lob into the ground, since it is a heavy coffin, and now with your body in it, it's gotten even heavier. So it's with a thunk that the coffin sinks into the earth. And the thought occurs to you that it is quite good that you did indeed. I hope I'm saying nothing wrong here, but you did indeed go for the lead coffin, because there are trees here. And while the coffin may be safe for now, well, wood tends to deteriorate, and trees do tend to seek out nutrients. Just saying, fertilizer. And with that thought, I assume you begin to bury yourself proper, using the shovel to heap earth onto the coffin. And it's not too long. Well, at least not in comparison to the digging itself, until you're standing in front of a fresh mold of earth. A mound of earth, my apologies. And have the weird experience of not only somebody walking across your own grave, but you walking across your own grave. And it's only then that you notice this brief stint into the mirror world, and the subsequent burial, and the time since you changed. Has been quite a long time, hasn't it? There's a need there. Something that you probably should do. So, what's it going to be?
You're gonna make me do this, aren't you?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to. You know. I'm gonna have to go to the theater and look for my other friend.
Ooh, interesting. So, you gondolier up to, that's not a verb, now it is, Lady Cornwallis Dream, the theatre of your dear friend, who, in the defense of the city, was revealed to have quite a few interesting abilities. But where once the theatre was a room of, or a space of many doors and weird twisted designs, where zombies went in but never came out again, now it is just a theatre. Spectacular, yes, but a theatre. Spectacular, however, is Lady Cornwallis, who, as always, seems to have an uncanny ability to sense whenever you want to talk to her. And as you enter the theatre, comes down one of the large stairwells, dressed in what for her is a very muted outfit, but for you is still a long flowing dress that seems to be painted in literally every shade of yellow there is, which has also been probably treated with a light cantrip, probably. She is positively radiant, and I mean this in all the worst and best of ways. And as she steps off the last step, she extends her arms in a full hug and says, "Sahir, it is so good to see you again. I wasn't quite sure if you will survive."
Lady Cornwallis, the pleasure is all mine. It would take more than a pesky army of undead to keep me from finding my way back to you.
Perfect.
And I will give her a kiss on the hand, followed by a tender, soft hug.
The hug catches her by surprise, but she did indeed extend her arms in a way that indicated it, and she kind of just shrugs into it. Well, some things seem to have changed. She kind of pulls away with a very inquisitive look on her face. Sahir, darling, are you all right? You seem muted.
I suppose that's one way of putting it. Let's just say the last few days have left me changed.
Indeed. What has happened to you?
Oh, if I were to tell you, you wouldn't believe it.
Try me. Come, let's take a walk. And she turns around again, not waiting for an answer, and moves up the staircase.
Follow behind her closely. And I'll ask, so the theater looks like it's in fairly good shape. It seems that you didn't have any troubles now, did you?
On the contrary, it was one of the only defenses we had until whatever it was ripped the undead away from the city. But it is now once again pristine, and whatever trouble those pesky things may have caused is forgotten. By me, of course. Unfortunately, few of my customers didn't make it. A shame indeed. But the show must go on.
That's true. And with your performances, you'll be reeling in new customers to make up for their losses.
Hopefully. But even I, sequestered as I am here, can feel that the tides are turning. Maybe I'm going to need to have a new set of plays out. How distressing. You do know how I hate to write plays. I don't. But you're not here to listen to me ramble on about new times and new plays. What is it that I can do for you? Or have you kindly come to grace the stage with your presence? I know just the role for you, you know.
Do you now?
I do.
I must hear about it.
Well, how about a valiant vigilante who swoops in the night and steals from the rich? Unfortunately, you're executed at the end, but you know, pros and cons.
It's just a performance, my dear. I suppose I could slip into a role like that with little convincing, for you, of course.
Visibly perks up. How surprising.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
I have found that, yes.
My lady, how long have we known each other?
Well, it has been quite some time now, hasn't it? Don't like that beginning, though. Sahir. What is it that you need to remind me of how long we know each other now?
In that time, I've asked an awful lot of you, haven't I?
And I've complied.
Always.
Well, not always,
Well,
but most of the time.
when it mattered, my lady.
It's true.
You've always been so gracious. So giving.
Sahir, this is very unlike you.
Is it? Perhaps I'm just coming to my senses that I owe you a little bit more for what you've given me.
Your company has always been very entertaining.
My company.
Yes.
It's always been fleeting, though, hasn't it?
That's one of the good aspects of it. Never quite know the value of something unless you can lose it again.
What do you say to a script reading tonight?
My. Yes, of course.
Your place?
Always. Not very
Wonderful.
prone to leaving this one.
I'll wear my best formal attire.
Once again,
Well-
how very unlike you.
Well, don't get too excited. It's not really much better than this.
Good. I'm not quite sure I would know how to deal with you in formal wear.
Well, I think that after a reading, maybe a little bit of wine, you and I might be able to form a partnership of sorts in a new venture.
So here, you're getting me all flustered. But I can't say I'm not amenable. Tonight, 11 o'clock.
I'll be there.
Wonderful. I'll be waiting.
I'm counting
Now off you
on
go.
it.
I do believe I have a new play to attend to.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for your time. I am very gracious for it.
You're most welcome, you little charmer, you.
And off I go.
Surprising again. Oh, see here. No, okay. We can see Lady Cornwallis left behind, and as you have your back turned to her, her smile slips a bit. You can see the deep, thoughtful face that she made when she first embraced you. Not scheming per se, but thinking about the enigma that is Sahir.
The biggest scheming smirk is crossing my face as I am facing away from her and leaving.
Oh, Sahir. You may be a snake, but she is a viper. So, as Sahir, you leave and prepare for an evening of the most interesting kind. M or Broden, anything else you would like to do during this day?
I think M's pretty well ensconced with her plans.
I think
I would, if not today, maybe tomorrow, depending on what tomorrow brings. I'd like to check out that bookshop where I found my focus.
Yes. Yes, of course. The bookshop itself is still. Oh, my apologies. Can you please roll me a D100 with no bonus whatsoever?
No bonus.
Actually, let me look that up. I'm not quite sure if there's no bonus. Oh, there is one! Never mind. With a plus 12. 15, my apologies.
Plus 15.
Yes.
That makes it 95 total.
95 total as you enter the shop, which appears to have been restored in what short time there was, suggesting there was Either nobody in here or the zombies were quite lenient with their destructive wake. There he is, weave behind the counter, looking up, brooding over a tome of what you presume to be poetry. As always. Hello. It's you, hello. Oh, nice to see you survived.
Likewise. Honestly, wasn't sure this would still be standing, but...
Neither was I, but when I returned, the bookshop was still there, so...
Sort of sad that literature isn't more lootable, I guess.
I'm quite happy about it, actually.
I would imagine.
To be fair, the zombies not really almost literary folk. I mean, I don't want to assume, but
Right.
seems like it.
Only the zombies were looting, naturally.
Yeah. I always forget other people can be dicks too.
Lucky for you that that's so forgettable. I was wondering if you had... Well, I was wondering if you were still around. Glad to see that's...
Yep, still kicking. Though I never want to see another barrel of wine again.
Did you hide in wine?
Not wine, just a barrel of wine. A barrel with wine that I emptied.
A barrel formerly full of...
I think I'm actually still smelling wine, actually. No.
She's gonna take a tentative sniff. She's not going to be
That's fine, all right.
standing there.
Smells like actually like port.
I do like a good
It's
port.
yeah. It's just saying if you were in a barrel of that, even if it was empty beforehand, that's an interesting evening for you. Terror and port, the best combination.
I was wondering if you could let me know if you come across any books by a certain author.
All right.
And I know we had already had a similar talk to this about this before when I got the but I'd like to watch his face when I say Catherine J. Downing.
Yep. He has no idea who that is.
Yeah. Dope.
Right. I haven't really heard of her, but I'll keep an eye out if I get any new books.
That would be great.
What's she writing?
I don't know. My sister really likes her. She's impossible to shop for, you know.
It's worst. It's the worst. Buying books for family. They never appreciate it. Ooh, you're so edgy with your little poems. I'm just giving you talk about facts.
You do know how it is.
It's the worst.
Do you have any... It was like a very nonfiction and poetry heavy.
Yeah.
What's your best politics recommendation? The state of the nation.
That's more out of reflex than anything else you gather. He kind of turns around and looks, but there's obviously nobody in the shop. You do know that that's not really a thing they're allowed to write, right? But there's no... It's mostly university stuff where you learn about politics and stuff, and, well...
Okay, I feel like M would probably know that. I, Eva, did not know that.
I believe M... This might be something that M actually missed, because you, as a noble, would have had access to certain books about politics and theory that commoners just wouldn't have. I don't believe you ever went to the university itself, but
I don't think so.
Even richer children, or children of richer families, children of noble families, they do receive a far better education than, well, as you're currently finding out, everybody else.
Yeah, that would actually explain a lot. What do you...
I mean, we've got a few books about the stories taking place in court, Obsidian Palace and stuff, but between us two, it's very propaganda-y.
Yeah.
I did have Altman had a good one, but well, he got shot.
So it goes. All right. Well, if you could just hold any of those Dawning books for me,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll come by, check them out. Thank you and good day.
Yeah, you have a good one too.
Okay.
He returns back to his scribbling.
Is he writing poetry? Can I peek at?
He's definitely writing. He's definitely writing poetry.
Okay.
Good. Anything else you would like to do? Either Mercy or Broden.
I believe the next day would be the appropriate time to have the pre-planned conversation with their mother.
So, well, Sahir invites themselves to a date, gets invited to a date. It's always hard to tell with Sahir. Broden, you face another threat, a more terrible threat, I'm going to say, as it is indeed a conversation with your mother. And of course, you're going to have to ask at some point.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around that. You want the conversation. So how do you approach your mother, who has stayed in her office, I would say, unreasonably long, but that's her usual modus operandi. When she's not in the office, she's in the garden. When she's not in the garden, she's in the office. And sometimes, occasionally, she sleeps. Most of the time, however, she's out of the house. But well,
I think you've just described Broden's life schedule as well.
Well, yes. They have to have it from somewhere. But as distractions have gotten quite rare since, the planner was forcibly cleared, she's in the house.
Yes. I think Broden would just go to her office and knock.
There's the obligatory at least 5-second pause. Yes.
And then just pushes the door open. And
Your mother doesn't sit behind the desk, but instead stands once again in front of the large window. In her hand, she's holding some kind of ledger.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't turn as you enter.
I would look back and forth behind the door, remembering the previous conversation with their mother.
So and then looks at no, nobody there.
Yeah, and then close the door properly.
Once again, it falls into its lock with a heavy.
Would also walk over to the window and stand there looking out it for several seconds before speaking. And then I think the first order of business would, I assume, be, well, start with the menial, work up to the more extreme. So would start by asking about their recent venture to the surface, or wherever it was that she went, which took her away for however many months.
It was not the surface, but similar. A realm of treachery and dangerous decisions and unexplored regions. I was making politics, Broden. I was in the Obsidian Palace.
Mm-hmm. And were you planning on sharing this information?
You never asked.
Nevertheless, it would be important that such an enormous honor granted to to the head of a lower family in a great house
She visibly winces, or tries not to wince as you say lower family.
would be shared with the heir of said head.
That is an assumption you may make. However, it is not the reality.
It would be a wise strategy so that if the head is suddenly removed, the heir can proceed without any delay.
Indeed.
So, what were you doing in the Obsidian Palace?
Give me a persuasion check, please. The universal feeling of talking to one's mother.
I'm gonna add my
Oh.
to this. Okay, so that's gonna boost it to an 11 total. So yeah, I rolled a natural 1. My persuasion is +4, and my die roll, my inspiration was +6.
Okay. I actually do want to dwell on that a bit more. Give us an introspection here. Broden has been shown to be very eloquent, be very have choice words. What exactly is it that prevents them from really getting through to their mother at this point?
There may be some recognition that there is some level of animosity present in the question.
Does that equal hesitation? Does that equal hesitation?
More a deeper register of voice, and perhaps they stand like they bring them up to themselves up to their full stature, which is considerably, well, it's not considerably, but it is visibly larger than their mother. They're for lack of a better word, flexing. They're not physically flexing, but they are pulling out all the stops.
They're
and
posturing.
They're posturing, and she is familiar with this.
Yeah. And her eyes flickering briefly towards you do indeed tell you that this does not work on her. She knows what you're doing, as she's done that same thing with many other people. And we once again observe that Broden and their mother, despite both of them probably not being too happy with that, are very similar in many regards. There's the obligatory 5-second pause, which then turns into a 10-second pause, which then turns into a 15-second pause, until she finally answers. Let's just say House Sif had a few decisions to make, and we thought the court could help. My accent is slipping. And we thought the court would be most appropriate to make it a palace.
I believe. If that is the stance you're going to take, knowing that she's most definitely withholding a lot more information than she could, and knowing that she is just as stubborn as they are, I believe that
If not more.
Yeah, if not more. Broden would move on to point of contention number 2.
Mm-hmm.
They would broach the subject of the potentially politically advantageous strategy in the current climate of opening the gates, as it were, to bringing in more common folk into at least the grounds, where they would feel more secure and basically, aiding the larger number of people who seem to be handling the night guard very, very effectively and whatnot.
Mathis offer her lips curl into a snarl. Slightly, but it's there. And her entire face displays discontent, not only at the thought of letting commoners in to the grounds that the Denul family has held for so long now, but even without an insight check. As I pointed out, you two are very similar. There's more to this. There's something she isn't letting on. We cannot do that.
Providing some form of aid to the common folk would place us in a position of trust with them. It would make it more difficult for our enemies on either side, noble or common, to strike at us.
They are not our enemies. They are to be controlled, to be guided. The common folk do not know their want. There is no organized effort. Even now, where they have all the opportunity to strike, they fight between each other, while we reorganize once more. Should we allow those commoners into our home, we would not only... Just to think for a second. Give me another persuasion check with advantage, please.
That's a dirty 20.
We would not only go against the interests and demand of House Sif, but also display chaos and displeasure within the House of Sif. We cannot allow that, not at the moment. It is true, the commoners, they will rebel, but it would not be the first rebellion. The noble houses may have lost Genith, and Kane may be almost reduced to nothing, but just because we have no fighters left does not mean we have no means to fight back.
And it would be foolish to assume that more heavily armed and organized and strategically organized companies within those common circles who have a great deal of animosity towards the noble houses are not preparing to strike against those they deem most hostile to the desires, to the needs of the common folk. It is potential that even some, such as Canny or Geneth, could be replaced in power, military power, by factions not of the noble houses.
Again, you misunderstand how we work. It is about power, yes, but it is also about our blood. Not just the marks. They are merely a symptom of our true potential. But then tell me, Geneth and Cannae, what distinguishes House Sif from them? What is it that we do?
We are healers, helpers.
And what is
we understand the needs of the body and can prepare them, deal with them. Those houses deal with war, violence, conquest.
Exactly.
And they have been destroyed.
Exactly.
Very easily.
Now, we understand the needs of the body, and we know what to do to heal it. But our greatest strength and our greatest weapons lie in the exploitation of these needs. We of House Sif will not be attacked. We will not be wiped out. Because once the first blade is drawn against us, we will unleash plagues upon the city like nothing ever seen. How can you turn a hand against us when your body doesn't obey you? There will be no petty revolt.
Our monopoly on healing is not as secure as you think it is.
Idona's foolish little contractions cannot hold up against them. This is a time of change, Protein. We talked about this. Opportunity. Those who bend, at the time of bending, they are weaker than ever before. Now is the time to stand defiantly against the crowd. Now is the time where we grow through concrete.
Then perhaps a different strategy may be employed that appeases both our goals.
Speak.
My powers grow with each passing month. I believe that were we to construct how it would be some form of, you could argue that it could be called some form of temple. And I could invoke a spell, a powerful spell, even true resurrection into it. It would take time for the magics to restore after casting such a spell. maybe even a year. But it could be done. And from within this place, it would also serve as a stronghold. It would be from which my powers would only grow exponentially. Meanwhile, it would also serve as a secure place outside of our grounds, where the common folk could be aided more easily. They could bring their wounded there to be healed, their sick there to be healed, without having to bring them here.
You find ways to oppose me through agreement. You find ways to make us stronger through diversion. Very well. You will be given grounds and the means to build your temple within the district of the huts. Once another member of House Sif has completed their intentions with it. Give me an insight check, please.
If I, the player, already know what the answer is, or at least I have a guess.
It's more about how she feels about it.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out what. Insight. That's a 15 total.
15. You get the feeling that she isn't just obliging you, but also herself in an act of malicious compliance.
Almost as an afterthought, before leaving, would bring up potentially what was the phrase? Encouraging, asking Isabella, our head guard, if she would be willing to train additional guards. Not whether or not they're for the house or for this new temple, with some additional financial compensation. Just broaching the subject.
Do as you wish. This is your project, Broden. You will rise or fall with it.
Woohoo!
There's
All
a
right.
very unspoken "do not disappoint me"
Yes,
in the
yes.
but that's always
Yes.
the case with her.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Do you
that's all of my points. Yeah, so Broden would definitely get out of there post haste after that.
This time, it is only the door swinging back into place that we see, as we're going to go ahead and take a break now. See you all in 15 minutes, and let's see what else is going to happen here. Goodbye. Welcome back to City of Shadows, where no nuclear strikes will be happening. Thank you. I did try my best. Anyway, so, Broden, after having that conversation, I would like to ask the entire party if there's anything you would like to do within the next week, or if we are going to have, indeed, a time skip until the political situation has devolved in such a way that either the blockade around the Obsidian Palace is broken and the Night Queen is toppled, or some other development occurs. I'm sorry. No. I'm not quite sure if you're thinking about things you can do or if you're just, wow, that was quite a long sentence. What was the point of it again?
That was a solid sentence.
Thank you.
Did I find any of the people I was looking for besides the shopkeeper? Because I feel like that would probably
Apologies, which people were you looking for?
Mr. Baramani and the
Right.
hold please. Alice and Cora at the flower shop.
Yes. If you could please give me a D100, just a straight D100 for Alison and her grandmother. This hurts me as much as it does you.
58.
58?
Yes.
Unfortunately, you find no trace of them.
Of any of them?
Well, of Alice and her grandmother.
Okay.
However, you do find Mr. Baramani, who is alive. And I wouldn't say well, but incredibly agitated. And you would do very, very well not to mention any involvement with the seeds of any of your party members, really, around him, because he is very much a man on a crusade right now, having lost one of his best bodyguards. And there, though he never says it, you do consider, or you do think he might have also considered Stefan a friend. Maybe. Just maybe. Remember the other ones?
Yo, my family is alive, right?
Yes, your family is alive.
Everyone was all concerned about, like, me saying I was fine, but I know Hero's fine, but okay.
Well, since you last saw them, many things could have happened.
What about Sid? How's the cafe doing?
Well, Hero did mention that your mother did hire Sid.
Well, I did leave Sid with my family, so, like...
It's a natural progression, so to speak. The cafe has not reopened, but there is a tiny notice informing you that the cafe is currently undergoing management changes due to... Actually, it's just undergoing management changes.
Interesting.
That is, by the way, what the notice says. Due to actually we are undergoing management. So you assume Sid as well. It's at least their handwriting. Or they were really, really prepared for a zombie apocalypse. Which considering it broke out in their cafe, probably not.
They'll be ready next time, though, I bet.
Oh, they will.
Okay, I think...
We all will.
I think that's it for me.
Alright. Wren and Sahir.
I don't suppose that there's any kind of way to procure magical items, like your basic +1 magical items
There is.
kind of stuff.
Okay. Whenever you want to buy something specific in the city, I will require you to make a specific roll. And if you do beat the DC I have set, you can simply buy it. If you beat it by quite a lot, you can buy it for a reduced price. If you just barely manage not to beat it, you can buy it for a higher price. And if you do not beat it at all, you cannot find it. That is because Sahani is an incredibly large city, and the possibility of somebody not having the item you're searching for is very low. Finding the person, however, who has it might be difficult.
Yeah, I don't have any specific items off the top of my head at this moment.
Oh, good, because I was about to wag my finger and say, I told you to do that via text.
Right. Sorry.
Good that that is not the case. I would have been very disappointed. Anything else?
Did you? Did you tell us to do that via text?
I believe I did. Don't make me question myself. That's a valid strategy.
I mean, it would make sense. I don't specifically remember that, but then I also
I feel like I did.
didn't.
Nobody wants to watch a shopping episode.
Let's just all agree that I did.
I mean, I'm ready for that. I just have
Thank
one
you.
question.
Yes.
Was I able to get something to eat?
Well, that is something we have to find out now, is it? How exactly are you trying to go about this?
Oh, I didn't think I was being too subtle.
No. But are you trying to seduce? Are you trying to persuade? Are you trying to deceive? I'm basically looking for a role.
It's a little bit of it's a
Your
little
role,
bit of
any role.
seduction to start.
Oh,
A little bit of we do the script reading. We have a
yes.
nice time. A little bit of consumption of spirits and conversation.
Consumption of spirits, my god. You've moved on rather quick, haven't you?
And I would definitely pose the question to have it done willingly,
Yes.
sharing emotions or memories rather than trying to forcibly take them, because that's just not cool. And it's just a matter of setting the mood in such a way as to make that something that's a little less repugnant when posed.
Give me a persuasion check, please. The DC on this is not very high, as she is intrigued. I won't say thoroughly seduced. You get the feeling that you and her both are playing around a bit. Nothing too serious. But she's open.
Well, I rolled poorly, so I have an 11.
The DC was 10.
Oh, thank God. I rolled a 2.
Okay. However, you do not get a memory. You simply get a feeling. Now, Lady Cornwallis is a person of many feelings. And while she does feel intently, oftentimes she is jovial. She does not give you joy. She will give you anger. When at first you do it, you're not quite sure how to really. You're both basically sitting there. She's just agreed and waiting expectantly for you to do something. When it occurs to you, you have no idea how to do this. You don't have fangs, so it's probably not the neck. So how does this work? When it's almost like a switch has been flipped, where at one point you just stand there, and on the second one you just inhale, and her eyes go white for a second, and then you taste on your tongue something sharp. It's almost like the smell of blood, but it is warmer, more intense. It's almost like taking drugs, because for a few seconds you are gone. You're just tasting that weird new taste that smells and tastes so much more intense than any food ever did, any drink ever did. Then it's gone. And you're not full per se, but sated for now. The rest of the evening was slightly uncanny. It is possible to only display one emotion: happiness, sadness, anger, grief. But only having a certain range of emotions does something very weird to a person, where they become almost like a, maybe not a robot, but like a replica of themselves. Something is missing. The mood is somewhat destroyed. She doesn't seem to mind. Of course she doesn't mind. She can't mind. And I believe you would excuse yourself, if I'm not mistaken. So, as we see you stepping out of the theatre, what goes through your head?
Well, so I got some angry emotions. That's fine. That's fine. Probably a little upset that things got a little strange afterwards, in the sense of just irritated. Almost like every little inconvenience, every little thing that didn't happen just the way I wanted it to is trumped up in my head. Like blown up, magnified 20 times bigger than it actually is. And on my way out, like after leaving the door and like shutting it behind and saying bye or whatever, however that works, I'm probably gonna just be trashing an alleyway somewhere, just like throwing shit and breaking it up for a couple of moments, and then like composing myself afterwards and like straightening my shirt. And I will head for the water, and I will look for a reflection.
It is in the faint light of one of the nearby lamps. Not white, not yellow per se, but some kind of weird mixture that you find the dark waters of the Black Ocean around you. And you gaze into those waters, and almost like a mockery, there is no reflection.
If I can use this as a medium to disappear to the mirror realm, I will. And just use that to go home.
To anybody who would be looking, somebody's falling into the water, but there's not the slightest disturbance, as the canal lies still in the light of the now singly shining lamp with no shadows. So here, could you please give me the appropriate roll? My apologies. It is, I believe, a charisma check plus your proficiency bonus. As he
That's
once
going to
again-
be... Sorry.
Yes, no, please.
19.
19. All right.
Yeah.
As you once again plunge yourself in that world of mirrors and sharp edges and twisted turns. For the first time, you think about your own body. For the first time, you wonder if it has to be the way it is. Maybe it is not the world of mirrors that is in the wrong place, but you. That is not quite right, but as per the nature of this place, it is also not quite wrong. So as you let go just a bit more, almost spurned on by your body lying 6 feet underground at home. This is not your real body, of course. And so you manage to glide, make your way, glide, crawl, swim, fly, perhaps. And finally, you don't tear away. There's no cold sensation, but almost like gently walking up to a beach from the ocean, you step out of the mirror in your own room.
Foyer.
Pardon me. Of course, you would be entering through the foyer.
And I'll probably just go sit in the sitting room and just kind of sit in that chair where I was dying a few days ago and watch the make sure there's a fire going and just watch the fire.
Now, mercy, I might be mistaken, but I think Sahir just jumped out of a mirror.
Sahir.
Oh, hey. How's the book?
Riveting. Didn't hear you come in.
Yeah, no, I didn't knock. It's my house.
Right, but you've been kind of like banging around lately, and then forget about it. Have you had dinner?
Yes, I have.
Okay. That's great, because I wasn't really going to cook anyway, but it seemed appropriate to ask.
Why?
I don't know, it's what we do. Oh, all right. It's weird now that you're like not dying again.
Why is that weird?
I don't know, your sass is weird, It's fine. I'm glad you're alive. That's just weird.
My eyes narrow a little bit at the "I'm glad you're alive" part.
I mean, I don't know you're not, right?
I'm glad to still be around. Yes.
Yes. that was an Eva question, because I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that doctor you got was like, oh, they're turning into a vampire.
Well, right, but like,
Obviously, that hasn't happened.
well, like, alive is like, you know, they're not in a position to judge.
They're up and walking. Well,
Yeah,
that's alive
close
in my
enough.
books. And then again, the zombies were also up and walking, so...
They're not buried in the garden, not at all.
Well,
No.
I'm glad you're upright. How does that sound?
I can still get horizontal. Do you want some water for tea or something?
Tea would be great. Thank you.
All right. I'll get some water going.
God, they're like the worst roommates.
I'll hang it over the fire and I'll ask you. So you've been hitting the books a lot today. What are you You can't tell me this is how you wanted to relax.
Honestly, I wanted to not be out in the streets with rotting corpses and like the shattered cityscape in front of me reminding me of the last few days / week. Time moves so funny here. It's really hard to say how long it's been. And reading has always sort of been an escape. Like, I'm glad you've got your garden, but I just wanted to...
Forget?
Yeah, just like head down, disappear into some technical nonsense, magical theory, and it was nice. Yep.
I kind of poke the fire a little bit and look over my shoulder at you. Let's say theoretically.
Magically, theoretically, or like theoretically?
What's the difference? Let's say
I
theoretically.
didn't get that far in the book. Yeah.
I could help you forget the last few days.
Look, if you're gonna hit me on the head, I don't know a lot.
No hitting necessary.
Okay, because I don't think that's very safe or reliable.
All you have to do is sit with me for like a minute or so, and
Okay, I'm already sitting with you.
next thing you know, you won't remember half of the horrors that you experienced the last day and a half. I'm like pouring the hot water into a teacup right now.
She's just sort of like rifling through the pages of her, but not reading anything, just sort of like stroking the side of one of her books. Yep. It's weird. I was just thinking about how we don't have a pet around the house, and now I hear a strange sound.
Chap takes offense.
Chap is more than a pet. Chap is like a fully recognized member of this team.
Chap is Sahir.
Are you bringing stray cats into my house?
I didn't mean to. He's more of a gremlin than a cat.
Not to barge into a conversation that my character isn't a part of, but that's totally one of the whichever book you're stroking is the one that's making that sound.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yes, that is now
Oh
canon.
god. Oh no. It is Marlowe for everyone asking. You know, let's bookmark that because I think that sounds theoretically, a little bit concerning, but also, I think I'm going to need to remember the horrors for what's to come. But not forever.
I put the teacup in front of you on the table and set the kettle down on like a hot pad or whatever fancy folk do, and say, okay, shrug my shoulders. You think it over, let it steep, and I take a bag of pouch of tea leaves and plop it in your water. And when that's brewed to your content, the offer stands.
She's going to sniff the tea.
Sugar? Honey? Lemon?
Do we have lemon?
No, but I can get some for later.
Actually, lemon sounds kind of... I'm going to have this plain for now, but yeah, let's get some lemon. Lemon sounds good. Maybe we could go shopping and spend like 2.5 to 2.25 hours. Just a thought.
Look, I'm not going to bother attacking the market. I have done it once, I can do it again.
We can go shopping. But anything you want, you're buying for yourself.
Yeah, that seems fair. Gosh, I haven't been in market in forever. Her voice kind of shifts up as she like starts thinking about like restocking the pantry or whatever shenanigans. Not shenanigans. Nonsense. Non-practical stuff she can think of at the moment.
Alright.
So
Yes.
I did think of something that Broden would do within the next week or so, and that is take the take a guess that something is going to happen in the Huts district, something that the House Sif is involved with, and go and warn the Sparrows that, hey, by the way, I've just been informed that my house is going to do something here. You might want to lay low and see what it is before we make any harsh judgments.
Now, you haven't talked to them personally, but you're told
I have on
by...
several occasions.
Well, I was talking about
Oh.
the leader of the Sparrows, and I meant on this specific occasion.
Okay.
Okay. While informing the Sparrows about this, you have not talked to the leader of the Sparrows personally, but instead to their co-leader, Aiden Zenbro, who relays to you that the Sparrows are not only grateful, but also very intrigued. They've been noticing what you're doing, and are not displeased. Then he laughs and basically just slaps you on the shoulder. Right, let's see how long you can keep it up, mate. And walks upstairs again. You're pretty sure that was an innuendo, but you're never quite sure with him.
Okay.
So, with Broden's political scheming, M's arcane journey, and Sahir's being a perfect little hunter, let's then leave off into a time skip. While previously we've looked at days, sometimes entire weeks passing, today we will be looking at some months passing. While you were assured that the blockade, Mercy, would be broken in at least a month, the month goes, and another comes, and another goes, without House Morkath being destroyed. Sure, there are tries. And by the second week, the entire city knows very well of the true nature of the leader of the Blood Owls, of the last dragon in Sahani. But to no avail. No side can strike a true blow. And the Obsidian Palace seems to have either magical means of producing food or just vast stocks of food and drink. And certainly no small number of entertainment. And so time goes on. The city, bit by bit, stabilizes. The bars reopen, at least those that haven't already. The shops open once again. People begin writing, people begin singing, and people continue working. There are small changes, of course, because we talked about it. Scriptures that wouldn't have been now run through the streets. Opinions that once would have never made it into the Sahani Courier are now printed in several newspapers. And the Sahani Courier slowly gets pulled out of business. But not all is well. Of course, not all is well, as beneath the surface the city is shimmering. Simmering. My apologies. Many factions are waiting for the fall of the Night Queen, and many more are already initiating secondary, tertiary plans, contingencies, and plans of moving forward, only one of which is House Sif. Broden, you have a lot of informants by this point. Noble circles, yes, mostly, and in the Sparrows. But we shan't forget that the true broker of information here is, and perhaps will always be, Sahir. For where you go out of your way to seek out informants, or do your job as a noble, as a leader, Sahir, you are collecting information as and during your job. And combined, I assume you will be talking to each other? I don't know. And combined, you actually get a pretty good picture of what the city is like. Of the noble houses, we have some that are seemingly not, I hesitate to say appreciative of the change, but they, much like Roden, smell opportunity. And they, unlike House Sif, are able to change and are able to go with the public. The House of Art, of course, stops being, well, I suppose it was never pretentious. It is art after all, and art is subjective. But it's the intense protest. But art becomes focused on the common people, and ideas are explored that would never have been explored in the first place because, of course, the nobles would be the one who see this art. The House of Art becomes more public, I shall say, more open to new ideas. The House of Death, of course, is left alone as it cleans up the entire city over the next few months. Corpses vanish, cities are cleaned, rituals are cast, and prayers are said. And all too soon the only thing that remains to remind of the apocalypse are those that miss. House Sif is the first one to move, as the huts are bought one by one, shack by shoddy shack. House Sif acquires space and land to enormous prices. I cannot, once again, I need to enforce how much even a single square meter of land costs in Sahani, as there's limited land here. Very limited. And over the next few weeks, the shacks are brushed away and earth is brought in. And then, in a single night, where Broden, you are also called upon, many members of the House Sif stand, and around them they begin to sprout trees and grass and flowers as they apply their magic. A new garden is formed. And as both an homage to Clear Garden and the new nature of this district, the huts are no more, and instead Green Garden enters the city. But enough of the different gangs and squabbles of the big players. There is perhaps an even bigger player on the horizon, the newcomers, of which there are many. But you are perhaps the most, I would like to say successful, but I believe notorious is the better word. And so, let me know, what are you doing during that long time span? Who wants to go first? If there's something the party would like to do together, that would probably be beneficial. But also things you want to do alone. The floor is yours.
So, I've what kind of accent was that?
I have no idea. I barely refrained from remarking upon. So, Arthur.
So, no.
What?
No, that was some like a mixture of Cockney and Southern American.
God, what an unholy abomination.
Right? No, I've got about 300 gold pieces that was going to be used on the Huts district, but now I'm going to have to find another poor district to try and find like some ruined parts of to convert.
Take your pick.
You're going to have to make me go look at the picture of the districts.
Well, I believe I can give you
I'm just
something, at least. Perhaps the most advantageous one to support would be Fisher's Bay.
Yes.
Palaskiard was helpfully also completely eradicated, since it was even poorer than the huts. So almost nobody survived there.
However, it was Fisher's Bay that my new associates
Yes.
took control of, and so it'd be beneficial to
That's exactly
spend my
why I'm
efforts
suggesting
there.
it, yes.
So I would spend, a decent proportion of my available personal funds, which would increase to, I think, 450 gold, depending on how long the time skip is. How many months is it? 3 to 5?
3 at the very least.
3 at the very least? Yeah, so I would spend a considerable amount of gold, proportion of my personal funds to do that venture that we discussed of acquiring, some portion of land and some portion of timber, as well as people who know how to build high population density housing, apartments meant for, the commoners.
Yes. 2 things. First of all, can you just give me a general persuasion check with advantage?
With advantage?
Yes. Since this might come as a shock to you, but people giving things to the poor are actually quite approachable.
23.
23. Well. I would like to sing your praises. Before I can do that, I need one more thing.
Ooh.
Who is your choice of architect? Will you ask a member of the House of Architecture? Will you try to find a commoner who's both skilled enough and well-liked enough to take over?
I think the latter. I think I'll try to find someone who is professionally capable, but is also well-known and at least liked by the community. Basically someone that they would trust over some, oh great, it's yet another noble coming into our district kind of thing.
Now, this is going to be relatively difficult because architecture is very much something you need to study, or it is just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And to study, of course, especially architecture, that takes money. And money is only found in noble circles and the better of families. So, can I please have the method by which you would look for this mystery person?
I would look. I think Broden, rather, would look
Yes.
in would start by looking for people who have been hired in the past by the House of Architecture as laborers. You know, like foreman kind of
Yes.
people who would both who would be like the middle ground between um, the people the common laborers and the architects themselves, because I get the feeling that, well, Roden might get the feeling that they would have opinions of their own about architecture because they would both a work with the materials but also know how the architects operate, kind of thing.
All right.
So
That is a very good point to start with. You're not going to get advantage, but it will lower the DC. I cannot enforce this enough considerably. It still doesn't mean that it's low.
yes, I understand.
So, give me. I believe it would be persuasion, investigation, or perception. You choose.
My choice? Ooh, that's a
Yes.
dangerous
know.
phrase to say. Because, yeah, I'm gonna go with
In case you had noticed, I'm a fan of danger.
yes. Well, that's gonna be a perception check from me.
All right.
God, I love these metal dice. That's a 25 total.
It is tedious. Documents, useless, signed by the grand architect, the great builders, the planners, useless. Procurement of materials, signed by the lowly workers, not the foreman. Agreements, signed by the people who make them, not the overseer. And you've reached the end of your rope. You're standing on your balcony. And while you would never lose composure like that, you refrain from screaming out in frustration. If, perhaps, not for the fact that your mother would then hear you. That might be a big factor in it. But no, you stay composed. But there is a sigh that escapes your lips, and you look out across the city. There needs to be a change of plans, a change of tactics. That's something you can do. And this is but another difficult problem to solve. So, if not the paper trail, if not the workers themselves, for they would probably not appreciate being talked to by you, or being talked with by you, perhaps the city itself can tell you a bit more. Not magically. That would be too dangerous and too out of your wheelhouse. And so your eyes rake across the city, and something stands out to you. Not the lighthouse, which somehow is still standing, somehow still shining out, though, of course, the ships of House Morkarth are not using it anymore. And past that lighthouse, you see the 3 thin buildings in the distance, barely visible from where you are. The 3 towers, the largest connected building in the city. You begin to wonder, who built that? Of course, you know the architect. Everybody knows the architect, the leader of the grand house of architecture of House O'Dane, Naya O'Dane. But who actually built it? And so, with that striking inspiration, you find a person in a dingy apartment building, funny enough, somewhere on Sahani's edge, littered with paper. A person opens the door that you really wouldn't have believed to be who they are if you didn't know it. A My apologies. I have lost the thing. This is a dramatic pause. I'm being dramatic. Fuck all of you. Oh, God. There we have it. Sorry. A drow. Looking quite young, no older than maybe 25 years, opens the door, and we are perhaps reminded of Hero when we first saw them, because this person too has like a very dark blue hoodie. It's quite short, with blonde hair sticking out of the hood which they have on. And up to you, it is quite a size difference. Stare two pale crimson eyes. Yes, hello. What can I do for you?
Would I have found this person's
Yes.
name?
His name is Hadrian Fielding.
Hadrian.
He was the overseer, and according to the rumors, mostly mind behind the greatest architectural feat of Sahani. Just the original idea came from somebody else.
Broden would ask by name, "Are you Hadrian? What's the last name? Sorry,
Fielding.
Fielding."
Yes, that's me. Is this about the bill? I can pay it. I just need a bit more time.
Well.
Now, come on, you can't kick me out. I've been exemplary.
You might be better equipped to pay it shortly.
Oh? You can see interest as well as suspicion in their eyes. His eyes, I don't know why I keep saying that.
Yes, I am looking to hire someone of your ability.
Oh?
Yes.
Okay.
There were some, caused by recent events, there were some unavoidable housing issues in some districts. I'm looking to rectify that situation, that problem, on behalf of those less fortunate than I.
Okay. And I come in where?
You are, according to rumor, one of the minds that helped to create the Broden would refer to that job. And you are also someone who is not just another noble.
I didn't do it alone, though. I had a lot of help.
You would have access to the funds to hire any help you needed.
Okay. 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 And do you want a building, or like many of them, or what exactly?
Several buildings in which many people could live.
Okay, so you need. Okay, yeah. I'm not normally on this end of the. I'm normally further down the chain. So is there a contract, or do we shake hands, or what do we do?
A contract could be written up, but in fact, it probably will be, so that everything is proper. Yeah. I think Broden would either have brought one or have brought the tools necessary to write one.
Okay. So a very important question: are you trying to fuck him over?
No.
It's Broden. I'm sorry, I needed to ask that.
No, this is an honest business transaction that
Of course
is
it is. No
that
ulterior motivation whatsoever.
no ulterior
No.
motivations that will pin any failings of the structure on this person, not me.
Of course. So,
But also allowing me to take all the credit.
about 5 minutes later. Oh, don't worry, he's familiar with that. About 5 minutes later, I want to say persuading. Even persuasion with Hadrian is more like intimidation, but you know. We have not only with honestly a lovely handwriting, name of Hadrian Fielding beneath the contract, but also the name of a filthy, scheming liar. Sorry, Broden, I don't know where that came from.
I deserved it.
You deserve it, yes. But I don't normally do it. Anyway, so you indeed have hired an architect, and not just any architect, a very good architect. With a 25, I can assure you, even in the first stage of drafting and planning, the people you bring in, not as good as him, but they assure you that he is actually doing good work. Nothing super fancy, but functional, effective, and big. At first, he's very unsure, designing smaller, designing just the regular buildings, but with the funds that you gave him, and, second surprise, the funds that the Sparrows offer for this project, since you did intend Fisher's Bay, did you not? It is possible to make not a bigger building than the 3 towers, but consistently high buildings in about a quarter of Fisher's Bay. That is incidentally how Sahani was going to get its first pseudo skyscraper.
And its first apartment complexes?
No, it already had an apartment complex in Sahani's Edge.
Okay.
But these are bigger. It isn't a skyscraper, but it might be one day, if it dreams hard enough. And so, with a surprisingly good deed, Broden, you kick this off quite successfully. And it is, I'm sure, by a few well-placed words and something that is absolutely not a PR campaign. What are you talking about? Do you endorse yourself, the family of Denul, or the House Sith?
Yes, and
you
no.
should probably also endorse the Sparrows. Because that was kind of an unspoken condition.
Yeah, in that order of 4. Yes, no, yes.
Oh, perfect. Well, there's no further conversation with your mother, but the additional funding suggests some mediocre amount of endorsement. Right. Roden, that was one thing you did. I'm going to go over to Sahir and Emma. I know you have a few other things planned, if I recall correctly. But let's see what the other two are up to first. We're building a city. We built this city. Pardon me. I need somebody to step forth.
Never.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you called on Sahir.
No. Sahir and or
M.
Preferably something short and sweet. Does anybody have something?
I mean, it depends on how mine shakes out, I guess.
Ooh, that's my favorite one. So, give it to me.
Okay, I'll go. I would like to meet with Mason.
All right. Well,
Is that short?
Very
Is that
interesting.
sweet?
well, no, but it allows me to leave on a wonderful cliffhanger.
Oh, then
So-
maybe Sahir should go first.
Well, no, we're doing this now.
Oh, okay.
Or is it here?
Sorry, Sahir.
So, you still have an address of where to send things when you want to contact Mason and Mason. And knowing their consistency and their professionalism, something small as an apocalypse will not have changed that. And so you send the letter. What exactly do you request? Contact?
A meeting, yes, and I would
A meeting.
make it a lot more formal than my note to my parents.
That's still alive, love you, exists. Wait, oh no, that was the letter to Mason and Mason, not the. Oh, bugger.
And I might even go so far as to like hunt down like an official messenger, if such a class still exists.
Yes, House Leonid has many messengers, and House Leonid was also suspiciously absent during the apocalypse.
In which case I would just ask for a meeting. I wouldn't, if it's going to be in someone else's hands.
So, true to fashion, you ask for a meeting. And it is not necessarily when you least expect it. So, 16 o'clock, a respectable time, and you've just returned from a jaunt of finally buying some lemons because, God, that idea was stuck in your head for ages. When behind you, you see a carriage halting. The door opens, and a figure steps out, completely clad in a pristine white suit, and the fox mask affixed to their face, as always. It is Mr. Fox. Good evening. I hope I'm not intruding.
Nope, right on time.
You requested a meeting, and our information suggests that this might be something that the council would like to hear. Thus, I formally extend an invitation for you, Mercy, to have a hearing before the Council of Mason and Mason. He actually extends an envelope.
I will take it and open it.
It first of all it is heavy parchment, very expensive looking, and it extends an invitation to Mercy, or I would say M actually.
Sure.
No last name.
Yep.
For a hearing without costs in front of the Council of Mason and Mason, signed Mr. Fox, Mr. Rat, Mrs. Lion, Mrs. Owl, and Mr. Spider.
Perfect for now.
Well, I assume you're going to accept. So, if you could tell me an appropriate time, that would be most appreciated. The council is ready whenever you wish.
Well, I'd hate to keep them waiting. If they're ready, then I'm ready. No time like the present.
Marvelous. You can hear smoke behind the mosque as they step back into the coach and kind of extend a hand.
I will accept it and step into the carriage.
It is, of course, a white-gloved hand. You presume this person is human? Not quite sure. It is a very awkward ride, as Mr. Fox seems content, and at some point you hear it sounds like humming from behind the mask. Very, very quiet humming.
Is this like a
Which stirs
carved wooden mask or like china or...
It is a carved, heavy wooden mask that looks very expensive. It is also coloured.
Sure.
The fox looks like somebody just caught it eating a goose, but in a playful manner. You exit the carriage, which of course has tinted windows because that's the thing. So you're not quite sure where. It's a district. The houses seem not badly made, not small. Perhaps the factory somewhere, perhaps the bazaar. And you are led into what seems to be a house in an almost, there's no such thing in Sahani, but a house in an almost rural style. Big wooden arches, a lovely door. You're led by a butler who has just a blank mask, no kind of creature, no kind of animal, and is wearing a black suit, into what seems to be a waiting chamber while Mr. Fox absconds. Is there anything you would like to do before you're brought to the hearing?
I would like to straighten my clothes after being in the carriage. Take a moment to fix my hair up proper and look somewhat presentable. Other than that, maybe not. Maybe not have my lemons front and center. Other than that, I'm pretty
God,
ready.
you still have your bloody lemons.
Seemed rude to just hang them on the door.
Hang a lemon on the doorknob when you're having a meeting with the Mason and Mason Council.
Yeah.
That's how the saying goes. So, after that, you are brought in. You walk through a set of double doors into a room that is lit by a small chandelier that hangs on the ceiling. There is a dark wooden chair that is obviously intended for you. Is the only empty chair on the circular table on which the members of Mason & Mason have congregated on the side as opposite to the chair. You can see that there are 5 in total, among them Mr. Fox, whom you already know, a tiefling with kind of curled horns that kind of poke up from beneath the rat's mask that she is wearing. Seems to be asleep. What seems to be humanoid. No, none of the exotic races, I should say. I don't like that word. Exotic species. Wearing a lion mask. And I hesitate to say, but 2 very nondescript looking people. If nondescript could be incredibly expensive. Wearing an owl mask and a spider mask, respectively. The spider mask is slightly unnerving. It is the lion who speaks once you enter and sit down. As far as you can tell, it is a higher voice. This council is now in session. I am Miss Lion. I shall be your protocolant. And we are currently hearing the offer of M, is it?
It is.
That is what you wish to be called?
Please.
Very well. Let the hearing begin. Mr. Spider has the word. And Mr. Spider stands up. He's quite tall. We have caught wind of the role you're going to play. And we offer you our full assistance in exchange for shift of position once the new system has been set in place. defenders and prosecutors no more. We wish to write the laws of this city. We wish to hold justice in our hands. Impartial as we've always been. Ready to enforce justice. We wish to be the law and the judges of the new city. And that is where we will end tonight's session. My. This is just tiny little things. One more thing. Well. Right, let's go around, have a quick, I always forget the word, sign off, I believe. Who wants to start?
Okay. Hi, I'm Eva. This is my channel. I guess I'll go.
Sorry, Wren.
Did you raise your hand?
The look on their face was slightly borderline hopeful when they unmuted themselves, and suddenly you started talking, and all hope just drained from their eyes.
I'm so sorry. I don't have Zoom.
No, it's fine. You just destroyed all their hopes and dreams. Go on.
Did I even say my name's Eva, or did I say I'm M? God, I don't even think I interrupted you properly. I'm the worst. You can find me here every other weekend for City Shadows. Playing a tiefling who is up to something. I don't know what. You can also find me at 3 p.m. Pacific here every Saturday for Horizon's Call, Nautical D&D Adventure. And currently every Sunday morning here for Vazen, the Song of the Falling Star. And that's about it for me. Please and thank you. I'm all thrown now. I'm so sorry.
Aaron, do you want to go?
Sure, I'll go now. Hi. Wait, did you say Wren or Raven?
I said Wren.
I still didn't understand you, but I'm just going to go now.
Wren?
Hi, I'm Wren.
Good lord.
And today I played Sahir Marlowe, the weird person that buried themselves in their backyard and may be dead, maybe not be dead. Who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows. And other things I do, yeah. So I'm in a podcast called Roads Uncharted. It's in the 2nd season. It is a Genesis RPG actual play podcast in which I play the role of a character called 8, and we release new content every Friday night. So we got a little bit more content for 2nd season, so go ahead and give us a listen. It features the wonderful GM Dax as GM, and it also features the magnificent voice talents of the Kappa Chris of at the Kappa Chris fame. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't give it a listen. And I do this. I'm here too every other Saturday. So thanks for being here. My favorite part about today is, honestly, I think my favorite thing is how creepy this Mason and Mason group is with all of their weird names and little masks. And it's an appropriate amount of unsettling without being outright horror.
That is what I ascribe to be. I lied, I want to be horror. Hey, what's your favorite moment of the session? That was about 15 syllables too short. What's your favorite moment of the session?
Oh, yeah. My favorite moment was favorite is a stretch, but I was really fond of the Sahir Lady Cornwallis date. I loved all the descriptions and interactions in that, and I thought it was wonderful.
Hi, I'm Raven. I don't do anything anymore. Um, besides this, I scheme and I put holes in. I poke holes in Swapper's world building. Yeah, I don't have anything to plug. My favorite moment of the session is there's so many good ones. I liked the awkward conversation. I don't normally like awkward conversations, but I liked the awkward conversation between Sahir and M, where they're like, "Don't come out in the garden. I'm doing some gardening. Don't come out and check it out." Um, the whole cover story of I'm gardening, wink wink, nod nod. Um, as a example, I kept waiting for M to go, would you like some help? I'm sure we could get someone who's very knowledgeable with gardens to help. um just to further mess with Sahir to get more no, that's not necessary responses. um yeah, I like that whole conversation.
Just for the record, there are no holes in my world building. There's simply opportunities. I call them features. Anyway. Sorry, I was thinking about how releasing content sounds like you're setting something free that really shouldn't be free. Anyway, I'm Swapper. I have GM'd apparently far too much today. And I have nothing else to plug but my Twitter, where you can go under @GreatSimplicity and watch me tweet absolutely nothing for your amusement. It is a good name, though. Anyway, my favorite moment of the session. Ooh, I'm sorry. I really wanted Sahir to bury themselves to be the moment of the session, just because, foreshadowing. But Bro Den's conversation with their mother, that was so wonderfully toxic. The perfect combination of Machiavellian and just weird psychological games that I'm pretty sure both parties were both aware and unaware of. It's just, God, I'm going to. I don't know what to do with that. I know I have to do something, but I don't know do what yet. Anyway, I believe that has been it. We've reached session 11. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.